So today, two things. Day 26. Second thing, well, three things. 26. 25, for whatever reason, didn't upload. It's still in the process of uploading as I'm recording this shit. But I edited the video last night. I don't know what the fuck's going on, but it just finished uploading. It's processing right now, so hopefully by the time I get home, it'll be uploaded. By the time this gets up, obviously both of the videos will be out. Two things I wanted to talk about today. One, IRAs, because that's what I'm getting trained in right now. So if you're not saving for your future, you're fucking up. I learned the difference between two IRAs, right? The traditional and Roth. Basically, traditional allows you it gives you a tax advantage. Any contributions you make to your IRA for this year, well, for the current year, for the current tax year, right? You basically get to write it off on your taxes. So you get that tax deduction, and then once you become of age to withdraw the money, you pay taxes on it later, essentially. Roth, you pay tax on it now. By the time you withdraw it, you don't got to pay any taxes on it. Depending on your situation, there may be benefits or advantages to either or. Speak to your tax advisor. This is not tax advice by any means. And yeah, just look into getting yourself set up with one. Me, myself, personally, my company has a great match percentage on traditional IRAs and 401ks. I was reviewing my 401k statement and I noticed that I had some losses. Wasn't really a lot, but it does give the opportunity for loss. So I think I'm gonna convert. I want to convert it to a Roth, but if I convert it to a Roth, I won't get the company match because they don't. I'm assuming that they don't want to pay taxes. They'd rather match your traditional, and then they just take out the taxes whenever you're of age to withdraw. So look into it. Nobody wants to work forever. It's very important to save. Although when we think of saving, we're thinking of like emergency funds, backup savings for our kids, savings for events, Christmases, birthdays. Making sure you save for retirement is an investment into your future, because by the time you're 60, 65 years old, you don't want to be slaving away at McDonald's still, or Luby's, or wherever the fuck you're working at, still having to make a check in order to support yourself. So that's my financial piece. By no means is advice. Don't fucking take this advice and say that I advise you to do this, because I'm not a professional. I'm just a consultant. The other thing is I saw this fucking video on Instagram of this guy who's, long story short, this guy's entering his crib, right? And some guy comes around the corner and he pulls out, he has a pistol on him. He pulls it out slowly, doesn't brandish it or anything, but this guy starts to rush him, right? Basically, this guy's trying to, I don't know if he's trying to, because I don't know the context of the video, but he's either trying to rob the guy or he's trying to ambush him. But regardless, if you sneak up on somebody and you're gonna come at them with a firearm, you better believe that that person has the right to defend themselves. So the reason I'm bringing it up is because I saw this comment and somebody said, how crazy is it that in a first world country, the people are so out of control that its citizens have to arm themselves as if evil doesn't exist, right? And I think that would be my response to that comment. Is it's not necessarily so much that the first world or the United States, right, is so out of control that the citizens need to arm themselves, but I've always believed it's your personal responsibility to protect yourself. It's Like, I've had this conversation online before. I used to really enjoy commenting under posts made by the news or whatever, just refuting like a different perspective, right? Or giving different perspective. And there was one time where I commented under this post, and one of the arguments I was trying to make is for personal responsibility, right? I think a lot of life's issues can be solved with personal responsibility, regardless of what they are. But in this particular situation, right, I was arguing that it's your responsibility to protect yourself, right? Like, although the police force exists, the cops do exist, their main job, really, their duty is to enforce the law. And whether you break the law, if you break the law, you're going to get arrested and follow yourself through the judicial process, right? And so this person commented, well, technically it is the police force's job to, I'm going to turn this light on because I can't really see myself. It is the police's job to, it's the police department's job to protect and serve. It's in their slogan, right? This is what this person said. And in a sense, like, yeah, they're ideally, right, cops are the people who are supposed to protect and serve the communities that they're for. But the reality is if somebody breaks into your house, what are you going to do, right? Or which position would you rather be in? Would you rather not have a firearm or weapon for defense and then call the cops and hope that they get there in time? Or would you rather have what the fuck, bruh? Would you rather have a firearm of your own to protect yourself? Because you don't want to rely on somebody hopefully appearing on time, one. But the person showing up, be competent enough to know that in an unknown situation that you're not the lawbreaker, right? Because an outside person, if you're introducing a third party, your hope is that they obviously know what's going on, and you know that person doesn't make a mistake, because cops make mistakes all the time, right? People like to dig on them for, you know, whatever situations that they end up in, because they like to say, well, why couldn't you shoot this person in the leg? Or why couldn't you have done this? Why couldn't you have done that? And the reality is, you know, nobody knows what they're going to do until they're in that situation, right? People like to say, oh, you could have done this, you could have done that. But, I mean, if you would have done so much better, why don't you fucking go do the job, right? And I'm not a fucking, you know, don't get me wrong, I'm not a fucking bootlicker, right? I'm not here saying, oh, fucking, I'm a cop sympathizer or whatever, right? But they do have a very important job. They have, you know, their duty to fulfill. They have their obligations, and, you know, in most cases, for the most part, they actually do keep, you know, our community safe. Even if it's just a small effort of their presence being there, right? It's most likely going to deter crime in a sense. And, you know, don't get me wrong, there's fucking bad cops that make stupid ass mistakes, and, you know, there's bad apples wherever the tree's at, right? My point is, this isn't a fucking cop video, right? The point is that in the event that I'm responsible for the safety of not only myself but my loved ones especially, I'd rather have a firearm and not need it than not have one and wish that I did. So, you know, people think that the United States is crazy because we allow our citizens to arm themselves. But first and foremost, obviously, it's one of our constitutional rights, right? That's the first and foremost thing. It's the right to bear arms. But it's also important that, I mean, a lot of people say this is kind of crazy, right? But in the event the government becomes tyrannical, we have a way to defend ourselves. People like to be like, oh, that's, people like to belittle that argument because it's like, oh, like how, if the government tries to take over the population, right, our guns aren't gonna stop them, right, or whatever. But first off, it gives us a fighting chance, right? It gives us a fighting chance. Our weapons, another argument is our weapons aren't going to stand a chance against like their fighter jets or their tanks or whatever. And you know what, that may be true, but the reality is if they're trying to take over if they're trying to take over the population, they're not going to be fucking bombing its own city, right? Ideally. At least that's how I would see it if I was the opposing force. Because this is where they would be residing. But what the fuck do I know? But a counter argument to that would be the whole shit that just happened this past couple years. I don't want to say it because I don't know if YouTube will flag it, but everybody knows what I'm talking about with the lockdowns and all that shit. Like, I think at first it was a novel virus. We didn't know what the fuck was going on. I think in a panic move, and at the time, lockdowns may have been the best option, if that. But then they came out with the vaccines. Once we realized the vaccines were working, I think that was, it was time to end the lockdowns. And, if people remember correctly, people remember how much our governments wanted to hold on to that power. It took forever for them to, not only just let the lockdowns go, but it took them forever to declare the end of the pandemic. And my thing is if that didn't show the world, or at least the people here in the United States, that in the event the government wants to lock things down, more often than not, one, they're probably gonna be able to do it, but two, they're probably gonna be able to do it with as little resistance as possible, because once the population realized, like, okay, yeah, you know what, these vaccines kind of aren't as good as they claim to be, right? They even changed the definition of vaccine. I think once they realized that, I think that was kind of like, all right. I think everybody was under the same impression, like, okay, you know what, these lockdowns are kind of bullshit, but everybody's following them, so I guess that's what we're doing, right? I don't know how I tied all those things together, but it all goes together somehow. So anyways, is America barbaric for allowing its citizens to arm themselves? I'd say no, because I don't think people realize that freedom. I mean, don't get me wrong. Other countries have their freedom, I guess, but nobody has freedom like we do here in the United States. We have the freedom of assembly, freedom of speech. Freedom of speech, that's a big one. A lot of countries censor speech. A lot of countries censor media, what the news is allowed to say. And don't even get me started on that. The news here, there's obviously some connection between between most, the mainstream news. They're all pushing a certain perspective, a certain agenda. But thankfully, because we have the right and protection of freedom of press, we have alternative news medias that thankfully are available to give different perspectives. So, with that being said, keep an open mind. Don't just take everything as is. You know, if somebody offers you an idea, even me, right? If I'm offering if I'm offering a perspective, don't just take it at face value, right? Do your own due diligence. Make sure that, you know, if I'm saying something that's incorrect, fucking go find out. Go find out if it's correct or incorrect. Because I know that when that whole shit was going down, I was doing my research about, okay, the news is saying, okay, X amount of people died, X amount of people died. Okay, well, what are the numbers really showing, right? What's the percentage of people that are actually passing away? And don't get me wrong, like, people dying, it's a sad thing. Death is a sad thing, but should we really be following a lockdown because a percentage of the population is passing away? Okay, well, if we are, what's that percentage going to be, right? And I think that because the news continuously pushed it, and we're saying, oh, breaking news, I feel like it gave the perception of shit really going down. It gave the perspective that shit was really hitting the fan, when in reality, I'm pretty sure majority of people can agree with this. You step outside, you know, where's the pandemic? I don't know. I didn't see it. I'm also not a healthcare worker. I didn't work in the hospitals. I don't know how serious that shit was. But I'm just speaking from my perspective, right? That doesn't necessarily mean I'm right. Doesn't mean I'm wrong. I'm just giving you my perspective, and I'm using the data to formulate my opinions and my views. So whether you want to argue with the data, you know, that's another point, or that's another story, but that's how I came to my own conclusions. So, you know, and don't get me wrong, there's people often like to say, oh, well, my truth this, my truth that. There's only one truth. There's a relative truth, or I don't think that's the correct word. Is it? Objective truth. There's objective truth, and I think relative truth would be, okay, well, relative to me, the perspective, right? It would be my personal truth. There's objective truth, which would be the truth. The same truth that says you are watching this video, or if we were in the same room, right? The truth that is we are in the same room. That is objective truth. And the more you can discern bullshit and get to the objective truth, I don't know where I was going with that. The better off you'll be. We'll end it there. The better off you'll be, the more confident you'll be in your decision making, and shit, the closer you are to truth, the closer you are to God, the closer you are to peace, and you know, that's gonna benefit your life. In what ways, I can't tell you with certainty, but I can tell you that that's probably what's gonna happen. Can't say with certainty because I'm not a fucking genie, you know what I'm saying? But that's just my perspective on things. If you agree with me, cool, give me a thumbs up, like the fucking video. If you disagree with me, tell me to fuck off, drop a comment, do something. Or shit, maybe you want to have a conversation about something. Message me, shoot me a message on Instagram, leave a comment. Maybe we can talk about some controversial issues. I think what I'm going to do now is, on the days that I don't live, typically it's Tuesday and Thursday, I'm just going to talk about whatever topic is on my mind, and maybe just give everyone my perspective on things. And then the days that I do lift, obviously I'll be recording that shit, shooting it to the interwebs, and I think that's the route I'm trying to go right now, or at least that's just my vision. That's what my vision is telling me. So, consistency, discipline, dedication, can't go wrong with those. So, I'll go ahead and end this shit here. Damn, I got 19 minutes in. That's fucking pretty crazy. I didn't think I was gonna be able to rant for that long, but I'll go ahead and end it here. Tomorrow I got back and biceps. Back and biceps, legs, back and biceps. I got back and biceps. Let's get a fucking sick pump. Hopefully I can hit rear delts this time. Last time the machine was taken while I was there. So actually it was broken. That's why I didn't use it. It wasn't taken, it was broken. But let's fucking get this gorilla back, baby. And then hopefully we can get a pretty decent bicep pump. Trying to get some fucking stretch marks on my bitches. And then shit, we got work in the morning again. 7:30 sharp. Last day of IRA training, and then I'm off on Thursday. I'll finally clean myself up, do some yard work. It's a solid week. We're already on Tuesday. Tomorrow's hump day, and then already halfway through the week, halfway through the work week. But I'll end it here. If you watch this, I appreciate it. That's all I gotta say. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your night. If you're watching this at night, if you're watching in the morning, have an amazing fucking day.